So friends, I haven't done a video on this topic yet, but with everything swirling around Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, including Trump supporters turning on him and him turning on them, let's talk about where things actually stand procedurally, and then let's try to separate fact from fiction, truth from propaganda. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, it looks like maybe if you live by the conspiracy theory, you die by the conspiracy theory. And Trump supporters, MAGA world, even some Republican politicians are now turning against Donald Trump because looks like he may have overpromised them that they were going to see more of the Jeffrey Epstein file, the client list and other materials. And now Donald Trump is saying, the whole thing is a hoax. Well, there is one thing that I'm sure of. If Donald Trump says something is a hoax, you can bet it's not a hoax. Let's start with some of the new reporting. This from NPR. Headline: as Republicans call for transparency into Epstein probe, Trump lashes out. And that article begins, President Trump continues to be embroiled in the backlash to the Justice Department's handling of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. On Wednesday, Trump, assailed members of his own party who have been calling for more transparency into the DOJ's investigation of the disgraced financier and convicted sex offender whose death, I'm just going to call it a death, whose death in prison in 2019 has sparked numerous conspiracy theories, and Trump, without evidence, claimed the case was a hoax. Now, mind you, friends, the case was a hoax, even though it was the Trump administration in 2019 that federally indicted Jeffrey Epstein, and it was the Trump administration in 2020 that federally indicted Ghislaine Maxwell. But sure, Donald, the whole thing is just a hoax. My editorial edition. The article continues. Trump's Justice Department said last week that no additional documents from the investigation into Epstein's death would be made public and denied the existence of a client list, which riled up Trump's base. Trump had said during the election last year that he would want to make files related to Epstein's death public. And friends, I'm sure you saw the video. Not so long ago, on TV, when Pam Bondi was asked point blank about the Epstein client list, she said, "It's on my desk right now." But more recently, Pam Bondi said, "The Epstein client list doesn't exist." Okay, Pam. Back to the article. In a post to Truth Social, Trump's social media website, and to reporters on Wednesday, Trump lashed out at Democrats and some of his own supporters. Quote, "Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax," Trump said of Democrats, doubling down on a baseless conspiracy that the so-called files were created by Democrats to go after him. He also called it bullshit that his past supporters had bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And here's what Trump now calls his supporters, quote, "Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore, Trump said. Speaking at the White House later, Trump said Republicans who disagree with him on this issue are stupid and foolish. Prominent Republicans like House Speaker Mike Johnson and Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene have called for more transparency on the Epstein case. Conservative MAGA voices like Tucker Carlson and Laura Loomer have also been critical of the Justice Department's handling of the case. Trump's message that supporters should forget about Epstein is not sitting well with some in the MAGA movement who feel betrayed. Okay, friends, now let's talk about where things stand procedurally at this moment. The Trump administration federally indicted Jeffrey Epstein in 2019, but Epstein died before he could be taken to trial. The Trump administration federally indicted Ghislaine Maxwell in 2020. She went to trial, she was convicted by a jury of her peers, and she was sentenced to 20 years in prison. She's currently serving that sentence. Now, recently, she filed a request of the Supreme Court, fancy term, petition for a writ of certiorari, asking the Supreme Court to review her conviction. Now, mind you, she was convicted at trial. A Federal Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed that conviction, rejected her appeal, but her last-ditch attempt to get some court to overturn her conviction is by asking the Supreme Court to take the case up on review, which they are unlikely to do, and the Trump administration filed an opposition urging the Supreme Court not to take the case up for review. That's where things stand procedurally at this moment. What are the possibilities moving forward? Well, we don't know how this will play out, but here are some of the possibilities. Ghislaine Maxwell decides to testify before Congress. She spills the beans. She tells all. Maybe not likely, but certainly a possibility. Ghislaine Maxwell decides to speak with a reporter or an investigative journalist, and she spills the beans. She tells all. It's a possibility. Or Ghislaine Maxwell tries to get herself a presidential pardon, wiping out her conviction, maybe even a presidential pardon that doesn't take effect until the last day of Donald Trump's current term. Now, yes, that would mean she has to sit. She has to continue to serve her sentence for another 3.5 years. That's a hell of a lot less than 20 years. So while we can't predict exactly how this will play out, I, for one, hope for more transparency, because whoever's on that client list that Pam Bondi assured us was on her desk should be held accountable. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.